those.
It's like Captain Planet. We don't want the pollution soul anymore.
Oh.
We need the ocean souls.
I loved Captain Planet. Let's get into the draft here for the third and final game. Remember the stakes, gentlemen. There is one team that is going to be promoted to the knockout stage. It could be JDG, it could be LNG. LNG, it feels like they have momentum, but it also feels like a worry because the blue side has been very, very powerful so far in this best of three. Both teams have won on blue, and JDG is back there now.
And that means that they can continue the easy bans, the comfort bans that we talked about, that we expect to come into the series at the very beginning. The Azir plus the Maokai here, keep that off the table, really reduce that possibility there for Scout. Following up with the Alistar here, as they already see the Xayah ban again, so we'll see if Kai'Sa remains up and they can go for the Kai'Sa here.
Yeah, it's really interesting because we see the adaptation, then immediately the counter-adaptation on the side of JDG. Seeing the Xayah banned away this time around is going to warrant that response. So a different first pick as the Orianna is banned away as well.
Yeah, banned away last time, the Orianna. There we go.
I guess we're heading down the tier list, gentlemen.
All right, honestly, there's a lot of things up in trade for it still here too. Poppy available, that has been a very difficult one to get your hands on. Super high priority there as a flexible pick, especially for 369 up on top side. JDG loving to make use of that.
And the Rakan, another big one. Zika is hovering a champion that he's not going to play. There is Vi Ari. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're opting into some mid-game shenanigans. Chronicler?
Yeah, and I gotta say, this is not only an incredible strong 2v2, but I think it also puts a little bit of pressure here on the JDG, because I think ideally you'd want to go Rakan and then try to maybe pick either a mid laner or a jungler, but now with that really strong mid-jungle duo, you might not actually be able to get both and a great mid lane matchup and a jungle that is going to be decent in the Divide, which has been really powerful, as well as access to a support that works well with the Kai'Sa. Now, of course, there's a lot of options. Rel comes to mind as well and has made it through a lot of the bans, but it does provide LNG with an opportunity to maybe target. And if they go for the Rakan here, Kanavi might be pushed a little bit in his champion, which, to be fair, he plays a lot.
I love it, though. Locking in this engage, having the Nico plus the Rakan gives you so many options to try and set up team fights. Meanwhile, you guys are talking about the Vi Ari assassination duo, the classic mid jungle here. Really trying to look for those pick-off kills. Could be a little bit one note.
But we'll see exactly where Gala is going to go, or whether this is going to be his pick, as Draven is being hovered for the moment. Getting his hands onto an AD carry that he's going to feel comfortable with should be a priority here, and he is one that loves Tristana. Can be utilized towards that bottom side of the map. LNG do lean towards that quite often, and that is going to be the option that he's looking for here. Has historically been something picked into Kai'Sa in the past, and is something that LNG are very comfortable with.
Especially when you compare it with things like the Rel, which is technically still up, but probably JDG going to throw a couple of bans here at Hong to avoid some of these kill lanes that the Tristana loves to run, because you have a engaged support, just jump right onto the Kai'Sa, see which ones they're most afraid of.
Speaking of being afraid of things, I have a feeling that on Poppy is probably the two bans that have to come out from LNG here. And JDG, it feels like they have a bit of that flexibility to head towards those Rel bans like you were talking about, and something else. Could be Rel Nautilus if they want to head towards that bottom lane, but we'll just have to see where their heads are at.
There is a fringe case where I think you can... I don't expect JDG to actually go that direction, but let's not forget that Nico actually can be flexed as well. Can be taken into the jungle if you want to really throw LNG for
or
a
into
loop in the second.
That's the first thing that came to my mind.
No.
I was like, don't say that.
Don't bring it back. Yeah, and then where does Rakan go?
Golden Guardians.
Rakan can go anywhere. You know, he's roaming most of the time anyway, Chronicler. Don't make it difficult. As Jax was banned away, and now we're just looking for the Poppy button, but no, we're going to find a Crocodile instead. Zika not wanting to lock that one in, wanting to get that Rel if they can have that priority. So instead, handing over the Poppy option to 369 if he would like it. Can certainly work well into an Ahri. Denies her being able to get out of the way of anything. Denies Vault Breakers. In fact, works on all of the champions that they've locked in so far.
Yeah, I really think it looks pretty good. And since JDG went with a double top lane ban, the Rel is wide open for the engage if they want to do that.
I think that maybe like you could lock in the Rel here. If you don't lock it, then it's likely that Kanavi can snap that one up. But maybe you just slam Poppy here and say, I would prefer it if 369 did not play that champion so that we can move around the map a little bit more. But instead, it's going to be Nautilus considered, at least for the moment.
And the Nautilus has been a very consistent ban in the second rotation here. Obviously, the point and click works really well, both against the Rakan, as well as the fact that you can use it with the Tristana to go for the backline. Now, I was actually looking towards things like the Lee or the Viego, right? These really big, powerful, early game junglers that can go well with the Nico pressure. You set up a route, you go in. This would be a bit of a throwback, though.
This is so much more Kanavi. He never gave up on the Wukong.
Yeah.
It got nerfed, and everybody else, really deprioritized it. But Kanavi kept on playing it because it brings so much to the team fights, and that's what JDG are constructing here: team fight, team fight, team fight. Nico, Rakan plus Wukong.
3 circles.
That's a lot of circles. And JDG, here's another circle. That's a pretty dangerous one as well. But we'll see what is actually going to happen. The third Q circle, also dangerous on this one, but we won't talk about the hovers for the moment.
4 circles!
369 is going to lock in a bruiser/carry instead of a tank. A big moment for him towards the top side. As what is Zika's answer to this going to be? Because Poppy just going to be ignored in this draft.
K'Sante is still up. I really personally like Camille answers into Aatrox as a counter, but it looks like he's not going to go that angle. It would also give you options for trying to further pick people off and separate people since you're running the Vi Ahri, but they go with the tried and true. K'Sante picked back up again.
And I would have loved that. Even though it didn't work out in game 1, I do think that as LNG, particularly when you already have such a strong mid-jungle duo and a composition that kind of centers around find one target, blow them up, the Camille can really work well with that. With the K'Sante, obviously a very versatile pick, but you do kind of opt more into a team fight style, which against this JDG comp is a big risk.
And something that it can offer way more and that Camille cannot is pushing people out. K'Sante ultimate, try and get one of these engagers away from the rest of the team, not just used for hunting down the carry.
And it pairs really well with the Buster Shot as well. So if you want to isolate your targets, which is exactly what you want to do when you have Vi and Ahri on your squad, you want to split up these fights as much as possible. Absolutely something that LNG have the tools to do. But if JDG can get these fights on their terms, the War of the Circles is something that they can certainly utilize. And what I loved was in the player cams, 369, biggest grin on his face ever. He was so excited to be playing something with a little bit more firepower. And you saw Ruler, who was looking concentrated, like he was ready to try and play a more difficult game of League of Legends. And you can understand exactly why. This is a little bit outside the ballpark that we've seen from JDG as far as these teamfight compositions, but so much potential for damage and for that wombo combo. But I like what LNG has put together as well. And as we load onto the Rift, we'll see whether LNG can get that win from the red side.
And who will be our first team to move on to the quarterfinals? Who can escape the Swiss stage?
And think about it as the storyline as well, of the fact that LNG, for the first time this year, managed to take down JDG in a best-of series, all of which have gone the distance. This is the time that they do it. Pretty impressive was to be the case. However, it is currently 50 seconds into the game, and I'm getting slightly ahead of myself as far as them being able to take the victory. They're going to have to fight the uphill battle, because it does seem like the blue side slopes down towards the red side at this point in time.
And for the early game, there are obviously some capabilities, I think, that Tarzan can play through basically every single lane, whereas Kanavi is just going to be looking to, again, make sure that he doesn't get invaded, he doesn't get aggressive early on. But once 6 is hit in particular for Tarzan and Scout, that's when I think LNG have a duty to try and play as aggressive as possible. I don't want to see a repeat of game number 1, where they had a composition that was kind of reliant to like pick up Heralds, pick up Drakes, and none of that really came into fruition. And as a result, JDG kept the game very comfortable for them. And if they get to play from that kind of position, they're unbeatable.
And it looks pretty comfortable, at least for the bottom lane start here as well, since Gala and Hung are giving it up. They know they're just on a Nautilus. They don't want to mess around early, so they give a strong leash to Tarzan down here, but it is a sneaky move from Kanavi. W's over the back of the Baron pit to be able to steal away this red buff.
Must feel pretty good to get some revenge. Potential 3-buff start for him this time around, as Tarzan certainly had run of the jungle in game number 2. Ruler getting aggressive towards Gala, but it is just a battle towards level 2 here. For these bottom laners, don't expect too much to go on there. As the Brambleback will be secured, Kanavi going to be able to slink back away as well with his Warrior Trickster. And that is a successful pick away.
One thing is for sure, fellas. I am very confident that this game will have far more kills than the previous game.
Oh, wow, really?
Do
you think we'll have first blood before 16.5 minutes, Kobe?
Looking at these champions, Atlas, I will personally guarantee it.
These are the high quality points that I'm just, it makes me so happy, Kobe, that you're here with us. And you personally guarantee it.
Guarantee it.
Okay, and what if it doesn't happen?
What do you want?
Atlas, this is your area of expertise.
Name your price, fellas.
I want you to dye half of your hair orange. That's what I want.
Okay, just half. Oh, that's
Just
a
half.
deal. No problem.
Yeah. If it was the whole thing, you might have said no, so I decided to go for the half.
You're talking about the hair on my head, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess it's your choice. The Scout's going to flash, all right. Knight gives away his position, and we have no flashes in the mid lane anymore, and I have a feeling you might be keeping your hair.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident here with these mid laners already getting into it, making it spicy. Tarzan going to come down here with Zika's pushing lane to be able to secure this. Scuttle Crab should just be traded there, though, as Kanavi has made his way on down to the opposite side, and they're pushing in once again. Scout here continues to get chunked out. He's got no more charges on his corrupting potion. Knight really laying into him.
Yeah, Tarzan might be able to take some sort of opportunity, but without level 6, it's not going to be guaranteed as the rocket jump is going to be utilized there. Rule, it doesn't find the Void Seeker for the extra damage. Kala holds on to any summoner spells, but missing. Now going to get ignited as he walks his way out. Bit of extra damage with the explosive charge as well, and LNG offering a fair bit of damage back as well in trade.
This action is also making me a little bit happy, considering I am part of the Nautilus pick'ems for most guests.
Yeah, me too.
I'm very curious if Hung is going to donate.
You bought into the fund as well. Me too. Yeah. We'll see.
He is running the Glacial Augment style
oh, yeah,
Nautilus
so squishy. Oh, yeah, love that.
Instead of the Aftershock, so it does bode well for us.
We'll see, though, to what extent LNG can find these mid-game moments that I think they were looking for in Game 1 as well. Scout already being put on the back foot might throw a little bit of a wrench in those plans.
Pick the gap. That's 6 points where I'm from.
Mind the anchor.
Zika underneath his turret. 369 going to take a turret shot. You can see feeling pretty happy. Head in farm as Zika is going to have to deal with the minion wave that it's parked itself underneath his turret.
And I want to highlight as well how much vision is actually already being set up by JDG to ensure that Tarzan doesn't get an early flash gank off, right? Obviously, post 6, it becomes a little bit harder, but they've been keeping really good track of him. A lot of wards, both in the top side Tribrush as well as in the bottom side of his jungle. So they have a general idea of where this Vi is, and it means that Kanavi can just focus on what he wants to do, which is hit 6 as soon as possible.
And actually, as you mention it, Kanavi is coming down to the bottom side here towards Dragon. He's leaving his top side camps up to come on over because he knows the exact respawn timers up there for Tarzan, expects Tarzan to be re-clearing and to have his eyes on that level 6 that you're talking about. Both these junglers, Wukong and Vi, traditionally trying to farm to their 6, their ultimate as quickly as possible, and Kanavi taking advantage of that timing. Plus, he's the one with the mid laner that's been pushing in. He's the one with the pushing bottom lane, so they want to get those dragons stacked early.
That's really big. Denying LNG early dragon stacking is the way that we saw how well JDG was able to play around that in Game 1.
Yeah, and you have to expect, too, you know, when you're running a Tristana Nautilus lane, trying to play off of kill threat here, we'll see when they actually decide to go for it. Maybe once Tarzan does get his level 6, they'll look towards mid lane where Knight has a little bit left on his flash, or towards that bot.
And I do think that they need to try and actually use that, right? Tarzan, the one advantage he has been able to get has been experience, even with the early invade, just by the virtue of Kanavi going for that dragon. If he can actually use his ultimate early on to try and get either Scout or Zika an advantage, maybe even towards Gala, get the Tristana going, because the pick can be so oppressive when you actually get to feed a lot of gold into it, because otherwise, I do think that the Kai'Sa is going to be a really big problem with the amount of backline threat that JDG have.
I'd also say now that Knight is ready with this Nico to start making some sneaky minion line moves, you have to press your tab button and it will let you know when the Nico is within vision, so you don't get tricked. Always count your minions, always press tab.
Yep, that is the rule. Is that Nico lit up? Can I actually see it on my screen? But I like the counting minions option. Just anything more than 3, you start needing to press the button for doubt wherever you've mapped that one to. Speaking of which, Knight now trying to figure out exactly where he wants to be. Decides that he's just not going to opt in for it this time around. Wasn't feeling it. Missing going to be moving towards these brushes, wanting to press up. And this Tristana into the Kai'Sa matchup, I actually really like it. Tristana has one of those weird power curves where she's kind of strong. Right now, they are going to go aggressive, and the hook is going to connect here as well, but Missing, of course, can move quite far. Does have an explosive charge, so we'll take some delayed damage there, but is going to be A-okay. And they get the ultimate out of Gala and the Ignite as well.
Yeah, exactly. This is another Ignite window that JDG are dealing with quite nicely here, reducing a lot of that all-in power, a lot of that threat. Missing's able to survive, no extra cooldowns blown, and fully clean up that wave for Ruler. No problem so far for them. Leech level 6 here for Kanavi. What can they do? These two champions have so much explosive power when we get towards Rift Herald fights. And it looks like with the support roams, they're going to go for it. Missing is heading right on up there through the lane. So LNG will see Missing. They will know. And it looks like they're going to give it up in exchange for some turret plate mining.
Yeah, and that is one of the advantages that the Tristana has. Ooh, attempted catch maybe here, but Tarzan by himself, I don't think is going to really be able to do anything but chunk Missing out. But with Tristana specifically, the amount of turret damage you can do with explosive shot makes it really, really tough. If you don't shut her down, can start generating some large gold leads. You need to take down Ruler though, because the Herald went over to Kanavi.
Yeah. And not going to be able to get that last plate, but Scout has moved into position. There's the knock-up. They managed to get the cease and desist as well. Ruler's going to be taken out. First blood goes to Scout, and Missing is now underneath his turret. Last shot not going to come through there, and that is the double kill for the LNG mid laner. Scout has been so good this tournament, and now he is set up for success.
Great execution by LNG. The immediate flash from Hong. No hesitation there. Ultimate from Nautilus into ultimate from Vi. Ruler does not get to move at all. They immediately execute, and they punish JDG for trying to defend on bottom side while also taking Rift Herald, you know, sending Missing down there, trying to defend and stay under turret without giving up those minion waves. LNG say, no, 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 you are going to be punished. You will definitely have to pay for that Rift Herald.
It's a rare moment of greed from JDG because it means that, yes, even with the Herald, the trade is so favorable for them. If you just give up the plates, might be able to be worth it, but as you point out, look at that point-blank immediate double-man knock-up, so it doesn't even allow for Missing to try and absorb some of the initial blow, and then by the time the damage is done, Scout with his mobility easily able to get underneath the turret, take down the targets, and this is key because Scout being big when he has as much help and getting into the enemy backline with the Vi, with the Tristana, and with the Nautilus is going to be really, I think, the main way that LNG is able to take control of this game.
Oh, exactly right. Set up for that mid game that the Ahri can really thrive in, and now all of this pick potential is something to be scared of. See a fair bit of extra money going over to Scout in this game. Knight, of course, the teamfight prowess of Aniko cannot be understated. So still, JDG need to be respected in this one, and only 500 gold behind, right? Like, not a whole lot has really happened, even though the plate did indeed go over to LNG at the same time as the double kill. We'll just have to see how much can be leveraged, how much Scout's advantage can be used by LNG to set up the rest of the map.
And Tarzan's ultimate will come up right about now. Last second does tick away, so they're ready for another Vi play. As Dragon has spawned, it looks like they're going to go for the reset for Scout. He's got his Unleashed teleport ready.
Bunch of vision available here for LNG and JDG. Deep vision as well. JDG knowing exactly where the players are getting towards. That comes through for Zika. Does have his teleport available. He could walk towards that top lane or just cruise down towards this Dragon and then teleport back up top if that's where he's required. Hook just going to hit the wall there from Hung. Sometimes these things happen, you know, as now Tarzan charging the Vault Breaker is going to find the flash onto Kanavi. They get into the backline. He can't do anything, but the Pop Blossom is absolutely huge in response. It's just not huge enough. As now Scout trying to get out of there. 369 gigantic as he gets over the wall. Hung just sees his death as he breaks his stopwatch on the ground. The Aatrox will pay for it as Zika's here to tidy up, but LNG, that was a little bit of an overstep, even though it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, they do go for the 2 for 2. They went for it because they saw Ruler on bottom side, and they're like, quick, let's go before Ruler's able to join. But then they didn't initially have enough big damage to finish him off. It does end up going over with basically a draw there. Allows Ruler, though, the ability to push out an extra minion wave, and so JDG a little bit happy about that one.
Yeah, when you go into the circle comp, you better make sure that you 100-0 them, and particularly against a champion as slippery as the Wukong. If you don't hit it, you are not only not killing Kanavi, but you're also stuck on a double Cyclone, right? If he gets a W off. However, it is actually LNG that off the back of this gets to get themselves the Dragon, and we'll see what the draw is here. LNG hoping for a strong soul to come through.
Like a cloud. And that's not what it's going to be. It's going to be the technically stronger option in the Hextech Soul. This is massive. Both teams, 3 Hextech Drake Soul availability. It's exactly what we wanted. Hex Gates as well. Because, of course, like Kobe, you're not going to have half a head of orange hair. Because we had a very early first blood. That action is not going to stop, as well as Hung. Not going to be able to get into this Hex Gate, but Missing doesn't really have anything to deter him from just wandering his way out. So the Nautilus will be able to escape, looking for that back timing here as well.
Why does Atlas always make hair bets, you know? He had to shave his head last time.
He did, yeah.
It's more about like getting my revenge. We'll check out the replay of this fight.
And yeah, really big here. As mentioned, they don't actually take down Kanavi, so you're stuck on a double knock-up. And I think that LNG actually a little bit happy. 369 not actually getting the Q there, right? That might have been enough, especially with Aatrox, when the resets come through to win the fight and maybe make it a better trade. Instead, not going to be enough, and going to be just a 2 for 2.
Yeah, Scout does a really good job on eventually getting in there to finish it off. He gets the kill onto Kanavi, as well as landing that charm. The charm means that 369 goes down and they do the 2 for 2, even though Zika was walking and on the way. So even more money into this Ahri.
Yeah, the MasterCard lane economy snapshot is going to show us that the bottom side of the map is where LNG are feeling pretty good, but jungle top lane, 369 now thriving on his Aatrox in comparison to Zika. We'll see what 369 is going to be able to find for himself, if there can be some of these team fights that work out for an Aatrox who does like it when everyone's stacked up on top of each other. If Knight gets one of these big ultimates and then 369 manages to get a third Q on top of that, then things could just be over for LNG before they've started.
What I also love is, given how oppressive both of these teams are when ahead, this is the most even game that we've had thus far, right? It doesn't really feel, although you could argue that when it's a default game state, JDG just win by default, which I wouldn't be willing to go against that. But it does mean that right now, depending on how the next 2 free skirmishes go, you can balloon yourself ahead on top of gold by getting like the mid lane turret, maybe a herald, and set yourself up for a Hextech Soul Point if you are able to win a couple of these crucial fights. Because again, everyone gravitating towards this objective.
And one of the big things here as they do approach the objective for LNG is keep your eyes on Knight and keep your eyes on Missing. They need to track these 2 players from JDG. Those are going to be the ones that could cause a lot of harm.
Grand Entrance does come through there, and Hung is going to respect the Infernal Chains. That means no more Nautilus Flash R's to start these fights off. Possible opportunity here for JDG as they get control of the top side of the river. 369 moving back towards that top lane, has a minion wave to deal with as Zika spots out the fact that this Rift Herald has gotten a little bit distracted by JDG. Information now going to be given back. So LNG not giving this one up without a fight, and with control of the mid lane means that they get to move into the fog of war themselves.
Ooh, Knight is going for a recall right now, too, on the Nico. He cancels it, waiting for the wave now for Scout. Scout pinning him under that bottom turret's pretty big, since he does now have all the tools necessary to be a fully completed Nico. You have your Proto Belt, your Flash, your Ultimate, and your stopwatch there. That is a full team fight package.
Nailed it. Item spikes, that is probably our most favorite, at least for this game so far. 500 gold, absolutely nothing in it for both of these teams. LNG with a slight lead. I think that this Rift Herald fight, if it ever does happen, could be very important for LNG. Opening up the map, getting that mid-outer turret for this pick composition that they do pseudo have for themselves, right, with the Ahri and the Vi, could be very, very nice. And they are going to get to work.
Yeah, I think the constant pressure there from Scout, pushing him under the bottom tower, meant that Knight gonna be delayed in joining, and that allows LNG to grab the objective.
Yeah, now Zika looking for a little bit here onto 369. Does manage to unstoppable the Infernal Chains, but honestly, feeling like a wet noodle fight towards the top side.
All right, what about round 2? Because Dragon's about to come up.
Okay.
This time around, Scout doesn't have teleport, so we'll track his movement, because currently he's coming to actually shadow Zika up here towards topside instead.
A little bit of a heart monitor here as we have a look at the gold difference over time, powered by AWS. But it is moving towards LNG.
Do note as well that outside of the Flash for Hung, basically every single combat summoner is available. However, LNG do have the Herald, so they can also say, we don't care about this Dragon. We're going to go all in, try to really blow up our gold lead, already overloading the top half of the map. And JDG seems to be moving people towards it, but not actually having a response right now. And I think if there's no Rift Herald, you can just go for the other end, right? As the teleport comes in to dissuade Knight from trying to take this turret.
Yeah, really nice sequence of events here from LNG. They push down, they force that topside tower, rotate then Scout over towards mid lane while they just teleport Zik at the bottom to defend the counter tower attempt from Knight, and they reposition and still keep control of midfield.
Yeah, this proactivity from LNG, it looks like they're the ones setting terms on the Rift almost all game long. And now Tarzan has the ability to move towards this Drake. Not a lot of vision, not a lot of control from JDG like you were talking about, as the Everfrost is going to connect onto Missing, of course. Not in a lot of threat of death, but with this Rift Herald, it buys you that mid priority. It's going to get that charge, and you can see they don't really care about monitoring the state of the Rift Herald. They just want to get towards this Drake, use that control that they bought for themselves. Knight now, though.
Teleport in from 369.
Yeah, they're looking for the opportunity.
Yes,
369 may have been a little bit early, as the hook is fantastic. The chain CC comes in, but look at the charm. It's on to everyone. There's the follow-up. It's Kanavi. He's going to cut them down with the Cyclone. It's Ruler that grabs the first kill. Knight collects one as well. And JDG bought themselves all the space. They'll take the first Hextech Drake. Never count out JDG.
All calculated, says 369. It looks like an overextension, but Gore Drinker plus Sterix, enough to keep him alive. And even though Knight gets swept away by Zika, the fact that Kanavi is already in the backline, there's just not enough damage for LNG.
Intentional punching bag, 369.
Does it again!
He goes in, he absorbs all the single target focus from LNG. Massive, massive stuff from him.
And we thought, you know, that he was playing a bruiser now, that he'd be doing some damage now, but no, it's just playing a tank called Aatrox in this game. And it's working out absolutely fantastically. This combination of items wasn't ready for it as we have a look at the replay once again. It looks like a crazy teleport.
Yeah, so sectioned off from the rest of the team. You see them all focus on him. Everything goes in, and yet they can't get through it. The Sterix shield pops, the Gore Drinker goes off, and by that time, the rest of JDG are here with all cooldowns up.
And it's just the amount of AoE CC that's available for JDG is so hard to deal with. As we saw, again, Knight didn't even get to have that much value in that team fight, right? Didn't get to get a multi-man pop blossom, but still with just 369 missing and Kanavi keeping the backline for LNG occupied, they were able to win the fight, take the Drake. There we go, in JDG's favor yet again.
Moving back up towards the north, of course, LNG have an opportunity to try and get back into this one. It is only one Drake, but JDG getting those Drakes starting to stack is so huge, because that hasn't been the position they've been in all game long. Here's the win probability powered by AWS. We're really putting it through its paces in this game, as it's just up towards a JDG advantage. And this is exactly what we wanted in the final game of this best of three. As the Everfrost from Scout, but he's going to land on the first Q of 369. Gets the ult out of Scout. A big cooldown here for JDG.
Yeah, there's basically no vision towards the top half of the jungle, so Scout just says, hey, I'm not going to risk it. I don't want to end up dying here, because that might be enough for JDG to just start up a Baron attempt. So we'll be down his ultimate. We'll see if JDG want to really try and push them. At the very least, they're going to use this opportunity to take control of the topside jungle. 369 takes a little bit of damage. It's fine.
Suboptimal.
It's all calculated.
He likes it. You know, he's if he was a boxer, he'd be doing the rope-a-dope, where you're just absorbing punches from the enemy until they tire themselves out while not going down.
I mean, that turret is really tired now, Kobe. Don't you worry about it.
Give me another turret shot.
Well, Zika is going to get some work done here towards the bottom side. Gets that outer turret for himself to move that gold to exactly even between these two teams.
Perfect.
Yep, that's what we wanted. Balanced in all things.
Now we just need LNG to get the next Drake.
Yep.
Keep it going.
And then we don't know how this game is going to go at all. They're going to be able to take the outer turret here in response, though, on JDG's side, so that's going to move the needle towards them as well. And also getting vision around the Baron. 22 minutes in. It's not exactly the easiest Baron, but there is a lot of damage on JDG. If they ever get some spare time with it, it will be going down extremely quickly. And it feels almost all worlds long that it has been on Scout's shoulders to find the angles for LNG. Feels a little bit like it's back there again. And
I think it's really hard for LNG, and as we now get into the mid to late game with them not really having a lead, there's obviously on-item parity, but who do you actually try and focus down here if you're LNG? Because we tried 369 last time around, didn't actually end up working out, even though he literally teleported into the middle of your team. And then the amount of safety that Kanavi, Knight might be having a little trap here, but I'm pretty sure they were aware of it.
Yeah. Zika is going to walk into the trap. Thankfully has the ability to go unstoppable, so isn't too worried about it at all. Scout very charming here, especially to 369.
They are really, really, really going to rely so much on Gala here. As much as Scout has gotten some early kills and has started...
Oh, Kanavi.
Yeah, finds the angle. Scout is just flashing and trying to get away, but he's not going to be able to do so. The Foxfire comes out. Can you actually get out of this one? The answer is no. Kanavi presses Q, and down goes the Ahri. And JDG now have dealt with Scout. It's a 4 versus 5, and they are bearing down on LNG. They're looking for this inner turret, and they could take anything else that they'd like. Tarzan also possibly caught out of position. Kanavi's just taking names at this part of the game. Knight not going to find the Pop Blossom there, so that's a cooldown they don't need to deal with, but this is one that they have to, as the quickness comes in and they are just torn apart. Goal is taken out. The turret was still up, but it doesn't matter because Ruler is there to take it down, and JDG, they should get a Baron, and this game was so close until it wasn't.
That's exactly what I was going to say! It feels completely even. Atlas takes the wind out of my sails. At the very least, LNG will get a Dragon, but that's not going to be... Hey, they might not even be able to.
Yeah, they're going to defend the Dragon sneak attempt from LNG as well. 369 comes down.
Another charm is going to come in, but still, he's done his job.
But JDG just do such a good job of deleting your carries. There was no damage dealt by Scout, immediately deleted there. Kanavi chases him down, and then Gala, even under turret, they assassinate the threat, so the rest of the members have nothing to do there. JDG make it look easy.
And I gotta say, Kanavi on this Wukong has been so incredibly strong, making it look like the champion wasn't nerfed at all. The impact that he's had and the key catches have been such a difficult thing for LNG to deal with.
Yeah, this is why he never gave up on it. He was like, well, I don't know what's wrong with everybody else. My Wukong still does plenty of damage.
Yeah, if you get 2 knockups in a massive AoE around your champion, you're feeling pretty good about it. And he thinks that that still existing is going to be the way to make it work. And now JDG with Baron are bearing down on the inhibitor turret in the bottom lane. Ruler just standing back. Remember, he can be there at a moment's notice with that Killer Instinct up and available. Also got both summoners. He's very, very frightening. 3 items already completed as Zika just looking for these opportunities. As in goes Tarzan. Wants to be able to find this one. Kanavi's going to go golden. Keeps himself alive. Buys the time as Hung. He's going to be the target here from JDG. They managed to get the 1-for-1 trade, but it's a little bit better here, you should say, for LNG. Taking down the jungler, and now Scout looks for the opportunity. Another quickness is incredible as Ruler dives on top of Tarzan, but he doesn't exactly find the value he's looking for. The third Q does come in. They get rid of the buy, but Ruler is also dead, and now Gala taken down. 369 is a monster, and he's gonna take the triple kill, and JDG, I think they've done it again.
Look at his player cam! He's not even impressed! This is just a normal day for this man!
He's rolling 999 this time around. Knight hits that double snare at the end. LNG are down. JDG are going to move on through.
And I can feel the groan of all the LPL commentators like, not again. It always happens just this way. But JDG, the favorites for the tournament, will also be the first ones welcomed to the knockout stage of Worlds.
An LPL tournament favorite that does not disappoint.
Oh. It is not 2015, I tell you that much, Kobe. An incredible performance here from JDG. And LNG, it was so close. It was so close.
Long.
Yeah, but do you know what the best part about this is? They just go down to another best of 3. And that's fine. they can lose that one as well. Then they go down to another one. We just get to watch LNG
given what
over
we
and
just
over
saw,
again.
I don't think it's very likely.
Okay.
Oh,